Coming up on this week's episode of Bobcat Breakdown, I'll be sitting down with our two analysts, Nick Cologne and Kirby Paulson, to talk about the women's soccer team and what is their leading cause to success on the field. We will also discuss field hockey and whether a slow start should concern Becca Maine's team. Finally, you won't want to miss our discussion of the men's soccer team's quest to return to being the top of the MAC. All this and so much more coming up on Bobcat Breakdown. Welcome to this year's first episode of Bobcat Breakdown. I'm your host, Reagan Martin, and I'm joined along with our analysts, Kirby Paulson and Nick Cologne. Guys, how's it going tonight?
Good.
Well, let's just jump right into it with women's soccer. The team currently sits at 4-2-1, and they just finished their conference play. Nick, what will you say is the reason for their success this season?
I think the biggest thing right now is that the last two recruiting classes are kind of coming into their own. There's a lot of bench players that we've seen last season that are really getting a lot of confidence and a lot of time right now. A lot of star players like Nadia Gill, Sarah Pandolfi, Jess Fontaine, that this team has really leaned on for a lot of clutch and crunch time games. They're kind of getting some bench time where they can actually restore themselves, and a lot of other players are getting confident. So you have a whole team and a large pool of depth that's really getting a lot of play time, and I really think that's why the whole team is getting energized with it.
Yeah, Nick, I got to agree with you there. I mean, when we're thinking about depth, we are also talking a lot about goaltending as well.
Yeah.
And we think about this current goaltending situation with that team. You got Devin Malcolm, the sophomore, who's played 4 games, has a 2-2 record with a 1.43 goals allowed average. But also, you have the ability to have the interchangeable web of throwing Olivia Mazewski in there as well. And she has the ability to just come off directly off the bench and jump right in if needed. You got 2 solid goaltenders there that can help out.
The thing is, I don't really know if I'm too excited about that because as a goalkeeper, you really want to get in kind of chemistry with your back line. And if you're constantly switching goalkeepers, you're really not going to get that gel that you usually get. Now, I agree with you that they can both definitely play that position and they're solid at it. But how do you feel about that? I mean, what do you think that changing goalkeepers kind of through the midseason, how do you think that affects the defense or the team itself?
Well, I mean, obviously, you make a good point. And consistency definitely helps with the team. But at the same time, let's say, for instance, this is a completely hypothetical situation. Devin Malcolm goes down. All of a sudden, you're in a situation where Mazewski, who's been playing a couple of games here and there, mixing it in, has the ability to come off not only warm, but with the experience and the game ability to come in and jump in and help out the team. I think that's a big asset for them.
I think the biggest thing for Devin Malcolm right now is the fact that she's a sophomore and she has a little more experience under her belt. Mazewski is pretty confident back there and she's doing her thing, but I think for Dave Clark to lean on Devin Malcolm right now is probably the smartest thing to do.
Well, guys, you start talking about sophomores. Let's look at those underclassmen.
Yeah.
How much of an impact do you think they have on this team?
Well, I think, like I was just saying, the recruiting class for this team is kind of coming into their own right now. Nadia Gill's leading the team with 9 points. She has 4 goals and an assist so far. And my favorite player right now is Allie Grunstein. She's a freshman right now, and she had 49 goals and 26 assists in her career in high school. That's ridiculous. It makes sense why Dave Clark kind of brought her up. And she has a different spark to this team. She's a physical winger. It's kind of different from Al Pelletier, who just gets down the line. She's kind of a smaller player who gets bodied a little bit in her own right. And Nadia Gill could get bumped off the ball as well. Now, they can both generate fouls and get free kicks. But Allie Grunstein really is a dominant physical player for the Bobcats, and she's producing right now, and that's exactly why she's playing and getting those points.
Well, and I think we look at it and we talk about underclassmen, and we understand that, yes, you know what, this team is rolling out, I believe, 19 underclassmen on this roster. And that's a big deal because you're going to see players that aren't so much as used to being in the big college spotlight jumping in, especially with conference play coming up. It's really tough to leave Nadia Gill off of that list. I mean, she's already allotted 9 points, 4 goals, 1 assist. I mean, she was the offensive catalyst for the team last year as well. Smaller but more dynamic forward that has the ability to get out there and get a couple of points on the board. But really, when you look at it as well, you're talking about a more balanced scoring sheet.
Yeah.
And you're talking about this team's going out and scoring 2.29 goals per game.
It gives the team depth.
It does indeed,
It gives them the depth that they need to win. So the first MAC game is coming up. Will be the first conference game, and it's a really important game. What do you think they need to do to walk away with a win?
I think, and you kind of just touched on this yourself, about everybody kind of getting involved. I think that the smartest thing, I'm not going to speak for Dave Clark, but I think the smartest thing he's doing right now is getting everybody involved. So now that they're into the MAC play, there's nobody that's left behind, and he can literally bring up anybody he wants and fill up a hole in case somebody gets hurt. Because when MAC comes around, you're not going to get your bid from doing your non-conference. You're going to get your bid from your MAC play and how well you do there. You want to get into the tournament, you want to get a good seed, and hopefully you can make the NCAA tournament by winning the MAC. Now, if he has a bunch of players who could contribute, I think that's going to be huge. Going into Ryder, he has a bunch of players who could contribute. And I think that if they kind of stick to their game plan and do what they've been doing, they have a shot to beat Ryder.
I think we're looking at a team here that's decently fired up to go in there. They played so decent in their out-of-conference games. They compiled a 4-2-1 record.
Yep.
Now, all of a sudden, you've got all these underclassmen that are hungry for a spot, and also the upclassmen who want to make that push into the MAC. It's not going to be easy, obviously. I mean, if you look at the preseason poll, Ryder was actually ranked 3rd, and Quinnipiac was ranked 6th. But when you really dig down into it, just like we've been saying, they have the depth to be able to go in and change the dynamic of the game at any point.
I think this makes them a team to watch. The depth, and I think we'll see them go pretty far.
Absolutely.
We're going to go out live to the Piazza, where we have Maury Hirschgorn sitting in with the women's head coach, Dave Clark.
Guys, not only is Dave Clark the Quinnipiac women's soccer head coach, he's also one of the newest members to Twitter. Dave, you got a Twitter just 16 days ago. I was looking, before we sat down for the interview, so I'm going to start with the toughest question first. What is it like being on social media now?
I've been on social media for years. It's just getting my own actual account. I've run the Facebook and Twitter account for the team, but with the way that the media program and the full-time staff have gone, I've had to sort of divest it, and now I've got my own presence.
Love the profile picture. It's him squatting down, cheering on his team during a game. Now let's focus on soccer. You've been here 18 years. We were talking, just a couple minutes ago. Reflect on your time here. As you have transitioned this program, from you were here in its first Division I season to now a mid-major in a mid-major conference.
It's been a great experience. I've loved it. I love everything about the school. I love the philosophy, where we're going, where we were when Jack hired me, Jack McDonald. The changes with President Leahy, the medical school, the law school, from a college to a university, from the NEC to the MAC, and now everything that Modio's trying to bring in, and it's raised the bar a lot. It's raised the bar for me as a coach. The standards have changed, so we're in a whole different direction each year. I feel it's got better and better, and long may it continue.
A lot of players you bring in are health science majors. That's kind of your claim to fame. What do you see most in them that they bring, not only on the field, but off the field?
The main thing is academic discipline. I don't have to worry about their grades. I don't have to worry about them off the field. I'm not going to be naive and say that, they don't have a social life, but they understand that academics for them is a priority. They have to maintain a certain GPA, so that discipline carries over into the program, the way they train, the way they carry themselves. So the more health science majors, it does have certain problems just in terms of the personalities, but in terms of off the field, I really don't have any issue with them.
Now on to the field. Back in July, you said, the preseason games were challenging games, your non-conference. You scheduled it in a way to represent your conference schedule. So Wednesday and Saturday games on turf, on the road, on grass, different kind of locations. How has that paid off? You're 4-2-1 heading into conference play this upcoming weekend, but how did your non-conference schedule, pay off to start for the conference?
We had 3 games, Delaware State, UMass Lowell and Albany, that were a direct comparison with last year. And even though we lost to Albany the other day, the manner of the performance, the way we played, the chances we created, and then statistically in the other 2 games, we're much improved on last year. So we're where I expected us to be. I still think our record could have been a bit better. We've still got to take chances. A young team still learning how to win. So the season's replicated what I wanted. The 3 preseasons games helped too. We got to play everybody. We got to look at everybody. We got to look at different formations, and we approached each game differently. And then we hit the ground running with the win against Toledo and then UMass Lowell. So it was disappointing the way the last game ended in terms of the result, but not necessarily the manner of the performance.
I did see you tweet. You said, "Wish we finished 5-2, 4-2-1 though. I'm sure you'll take it."
Yeah, we were 4-3 last year, so you don't want to go sideways or backwards. So it's a small step forward in terms of we didn't quite get to 5, but knocked 1 loss off.
One thing I saw on Twitter, you're brutally honest when you tweet post game, whether you win, whether you lose. You said after the Albany game, your decision making is still not there. You were up 1-0, eventually fell 3-1. But what about this young team are you looking to see the improvements in the conference play?
taking our chances. They're capable of scoring more goals. They have to be more clinical. I keep talking to them. I don't want them to settle. Sometimes we have this mentality that 1-0 will be fine, but go win a game 2-0, go win a game 3-0, and really take the pressure off.
Good luck this upcoming Saturday against Ryder
Thank you.
in the conference. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Maury. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, Nick, Kirby, and I will talk field hockey and how they're adjusting to life without one of the program's best.
Welcome to A Sheer Sensation, North Haven's premier cosmetology service, located at 140 Washington Avenue, minutes from Hamden. We offer an array of services, from basic cuts and colors to lash extensions and formaldehyde-free keratin treatments. We also provide hair chalk and styling for men. When you spend $60, your Q card will get you 10% off. Call us at 203-239-6477 to make your next appointment at A Sheer Sensation.
I could really go for a Ray and Mike sub right now.
Come to Ray and Mike's and try our Philly chicken and cheese for just over $4. Giant cheesesteak subs and mouth-watering boar's head sandwiches for as low as $4.75. Q Cash accepted just a mile down the road on Whitney, here at Ray and Mike's.
Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown. Becca Maine's field hockey squad is still without a win 6 games into the season. With the Big East games coming up, what do you think we should expect from this team?
Well, I'm not really concerned about this team so far in their non-conference play. And Kirby, I think you might agree with me on this one because a lot of these games have been close. 4 out of the 6 games that they lost were only decided by 1 goal. The 5th game they lost to Boston College, who, of course, started the season off and they were 8th in the country. So I don't really know what to expect from that, especially from the team that's just assembling themselves and getting used to things. So I'm really not concerned about it right now. I am concerned that this trend may go on into the Big East. And for a team like this, who's not going to win non-conference and get into the NCAA playoffs, you have to win your conference. And you have big juggernauts like Old Dominion and Connecticut up top. I don't know if they can really compete going off the trend that they're going into right now.
Yeah, you know, I agree with you, Nick.
Yeah.
I think that I'll use last year as a perfect example. They went 3-8 before jumping into conference play and then went 5-1 in the conference. I don't think it's necessarily a big deal. I don't think it's a habit that they want to pick up at this point. But when you really think about it, the rubber really meets the road once you get into conference play. So I think it's very important for them to do to the best of their ability to win out.
Yeah, and I think there's good points to take away from this non-conference as well. Savannah Riley looks really sharp. She scored in 4 straight games. A lot of players are contributing. Angie King is always sharp as ever. And the team is coming together, but if you ask Becca Main, she won't be happy that the team is just in these games. They want to win these games. They're not content with just being involved in it. They're not content in losing these single goal games. They really want to compete and they really want to get these wins under the belt because they know that they're right there. And it's paining her that they're playing these good non-conference teams and they're not getting this result. It kills her.
Well, with the conference coming up, the first game is against Georgetown on the 16th. How do you guys think this game is going to go?
Well, I'll start out here and just you can't expect a whole lot when you move conferences. You just can't. I mean, with any conference move, you're going to get what I like to call an adaptation period because you're getting different schools and you're getting different talent. It's all an adapting game. You see it a lot with other sports as well. In any conference move, it's going to be different. I think they'll struggle a little bit out of the gates. Georgetown, they should be able to actually beat. I do think that that's going to be their first win of the season. But I think there's a lot of good talent in this conference as well, and they'll eventually get there. It's just the adaptation period.
I agree with you on that, too. And Becca Main actually said in the non-conference as well that this was a tryout phase until they got to their opener against Georgetown. And I think if they're going to play any Big East team and they're going to win, it is Georgetown, because Georgetown was picked last behind QU in the preseason polling. And Georgetown's kind of sloppy themselves. They're coming in right now at 2-3, and they're being outshot and outscored 2-1. They scored 10 goals and they let up 20. They had 64 shots and the opponents have 128. So this isn't really a defensively sound team. And I think that if QU is going to beat any team so far and at least get some morale going forward, it's going to be against this Georgetown team coming up.
And I think one more thing of interest, and it might not make a huge factor, but they're not playing any of their home games at Quinnipiac this year.
That's a huge thing.
And that's, I mean, you talk to any coach of any team or any team in general, they're going to tell you they like to play their best game. They play their best games at home. They like being at home.
So they have the switch to the conference that could be holding them back. The fact that they don't have any true home games holding them back. Well, let's talk about the loss of a crucial player, Megan Conaba. How much of a loss is that to this team? They're still looking for a player to fill her shoes.
Yes, it's very tough to replace Megan Conboy because she has been such an off-the-field leader for this team as well. Not only on the field, she's been starting every game since her sophomore year. And, you know, luckily they're bringing in this freshman goalkeeper named Olivia Golini, who was on championship-winning teams in high school and in prep school coming in. So she's geared up to play. She has to get some experience under her belt. But right now she looks sharp, especially against Boston College. They had 16 shots, and she saved 14 of them. Against a nationally ranked team, she's doing pretty well in her debut. She's ready. She's geared up. I think that if anybody's going to replace, it's this girl. And she's primed to go.
Well, when you said it, Nick, I mean, losing Conboy was a big deal for this field hockey team. You're losing, not only are you losing consistency, but you're also losing a leadership in the locker room.
Right.
You're losing that consistency of, hey, we can go to this person if we need a big step up game from them. I do believe that Golini will find her form. I think these 6 games that they did play out of conference is kind of like a confidence booster moving into conference play. Like we said, that BC game, she kept things tight, and she's kept it tight for the Bobcats 3 other times.
Yeah.
So I think there is a confidence there. I think she'll find her form in the conference contest because just like the team, this is going to be her first taste of collegiate conference play.
And I think just another quick point is that having this back line, especially with Angie King back there, is going to be huge for her going forward because she's a freshman now getting primed to go. I think that, okay, even if you don't win every game and you don't win the Big East and you're not as successful as you want to be in this campaign, she's primed to go. She's getting experience, she's getting confidence, and she's knowing how to move a back line the way it should be moved with good leadership right in front of her.
I think we should keep an eye on her. She might surprise us just like the team might. Anyways, moving on to a team that has found success on the court. The volleyball team is 8-5, and they just finished up non-conference play with a 3-2 win over Providence. Our very own Sierra Goodwill sat down with Elizabeth Cluse, who just actually was awarded the MAC Player of the Week, and they will discuss the team's new mindset coming into the season.
I'm here with Elizabeth Cluse, a junior middle hitter on the Quinnipiac volleyball team. Elizabeth, thanks for coming on today.
No problem.
So in your first 2 years as a Bobcat, you had 5 wins combined. This year, it's only the middle of September. You already have 8 wins. What's different about this team?
It's crazy. I mean, I can't believe we're already at 8 wins. But this team, we just work hard, and we know what it takes to get the job done. Everyone does their job. That's a big part. Last year we had people, you know, I don't know, the mindset was just different. It's just a great year so far. So.
You just came off of the Friar Classic where you beat Providence, who was on a 9-game winning streak. What does that say about, in 5 sets, so what does that say about the mental toughness of this year's team compared to the teams you've played for in the past?
It was extra special, too, because we came off of a loss from Holy Cross, the team we should have beat, and we were able to turn around and beat Providence, who was dominating so far this season. It's just incredible.
It seems like every year you come in and the freshmen have a huge impact. How has the freshmen made their mark on this team, and how's your chemistry been with them, especially the setter, Maria?
They're all doing a really great job. They're doing their job perfectly. We don't have to constantly tell them, hey, you got to be doing this, you got to be doing this. They're just doing it, which is awesome for us. We don't have to worry about them. They're a great group of freshmen, and they're definitely, stepping up.
Awesome, and your next game is MAC play. You're stepping into conference games now. Do you think you can keep it rolling for your MAC opponents?
We hope so. That's been the whole goal this preseason, is we've been focusing on conference play. We're out of preseason now. We're into conference play, and this is what really matters. And hopefully we can get a MAC championship out of it.
You have the chance to break Quinnipiac volleyball history this year because the most wins this program has had as a Division I school is 10, and that was in 2000-2002. You're already at 8 games, only halfway into September. What do you think the height for this team is? How good can you guys really be this year?
I think it's endless what we can do. We're definitely have the goal to win the MAC championship this year, so that'd be exciting, but we can do anything.
That's right. And lastly, I hear you have a really cool nickname. What's that? Can you tell me about that and where it came from?
Yes, so when I was born, my brother was 2, and he couldn't say Elizabeth, so he called me Little Bits. And it's just kind of evolved from there. We dropped the little, and then it went to Bits, and then here people call me Biddy and all kinds of things. So it's just kind of evolved in the different places I've been. So
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming on.
thank you.
Thank you, Sierra. When we come back, the three of us will discuss the men's soccer team and where they have been finding success. Also, Kirby, Nick, and I will pick their upcoming games of the week. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome to A Sheer Sensation, North Haven's premier cosmetology service, located at 140 Washington Avenue, minutes from Hamden. We offer an array of services, from basic cuts and colors to lash extensions and formaldehyde-free keratin treatments. We also provide hair chalk and styling for men. When you spend $60, your Q card will get you 10% off. Call us at 203-239-6477 to make your next appointment at A Sheer Sensation.
I could really go for a Ray and Mike sub right now.
Come to Ray and Mike's and try our Philly chicken and cheese for just over $4. Giant cheesesteak subs and mouth-watering boar's head sandwiches for as low as $4.75. Q Cash accepted just a mile down the road on Whitney, here at Ray and Mike's.
Freshmen this year have stepped in and really just eliminated that problem, doing the right plays at the right time.
I mean, it certainly seems like an uphill battle for this team, but Trisha Fabi is one of the best coaches at this university.
Bobcats hosting Arizona State. We'll start with this power play.
But she's strong. Good lord, I saw her lifting one time. She could squat 3 of me. Like,
oh, well, 7 of me then.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at the men's soccer team. The Bobcats sit at 2-3 and just won their first home game since 2014. After scoring just 12 goals all of last season, the team has already scored 5 goals in just 5 games. A lot of the credit goes to the freshmen who have brought new life into the team, especially Eamon Whalen, who leads the team with 2 goals. Nick, can the freshmen that Eric DaCosta brought in bring success back to this program?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of talent in this freshman class than we've seen before. Even Whalen, I'm glad we just mentioned that because he's a player that Eric DaCosta brought kind of from his farming system with FC Connecticut before college, brings him in, and he's a player that he knew pretty well. Even Whalen's making great runs. He's supporting Rashawn Daly, who was kind of on an island a lot last year by himself. So now there's a lot of scoring options up top, and he's joining Ryan Scheiderman himself. So Eamon Whalen is definitely a player to look out for. He had a goal against Louisville, which is great, a top-ranked team, and he had a goal against Lafayette, which is huge for him, gaining some confidence going forward. Another player I want to mention is Jeppe Are and Connor McCoy in the back line. Now, when you have 2 center backs, especially one from Norway and one from Northern Ireland, there's going to be some communication problems. It's been a pretty seamless transition for them, except for the fact that they're not really moving the ball the way they should be with their midfield. But defensively, they look good. Connor McCoy's a strong body up there, and he actually got his debut goal, a game winner against Fordham. Jeppe Are looks solid back there, too. I think they just have a lot of communication problems that need to be mended out, but there's kind of a language barrier there itself, too. But the freshman class looks great right now. What do you think?
Yeah, Nick, and I think the other thing is we're just just a month into the school year as well. I mean, they're just getting to know each other not only at a team level and also as a student level. So I think the chemistry is going to come with not only experience, but also, being in the locker room all the time, being able to go out and study every night.
Right.
You talked a lot about Connor McCoy. I've been fairly impressed with Connor McCoy himself. I think it's important for this team to have that showed-up defense and be able to have those players to help them out. And I think with the freshmen, the future is bright, and this year's crop is showing serious promise. And the goalkeeping situation should be fairly solid with Yakovitis coming in. I mean, he's been pretty solid for the team. Should we expect immediate success from this team? I don't necessarily think so. But, again, that's going to grow into the mold.
Well, we have more time to find that out because the team has 3 more games before MAC play begins, including a game Wednesday against crosstown rival Yale. Now, Kirby, how confident are you that this team can pick up the pace and get a win out of this?
Well, I think with Yale, you can never expect too much, really. They're always a tough target, no matter who you're dealing with. And the defense, if the defense holds up and is able to stop the permeation of the offense, they should be all right. At the same time, you're going to have to see those freshmen step up and have the goalkeeping be at a solid level to say, okay, we need to be able to shore up the outside and just go all in on offense with an aggressive attack.
Yeah, I agree. The freshman class looks very sharp right now, and it's weird because they're kind of being leaned on a lot in some of these games. You have a great midfield presence in Shaquille Huggins, James Doig, and Max Rothenbucher, who really look sharp and are moving the ball pretty well. The problem is that when they get the ball out to the wings, they're not getting good service into the box. They like to take players on, which is great, but it's not always working on. They're not really combining the way that they should. When they play a team like Yale, who had a tie against Michigan, who's a very good team, they went to Ann Arbor and tied them, and they had a win against Sacred Heart, who's a good defensive team. They're going to have their work cut out for them, trying to beat players on the wing. It's a big field on Yale, but luckily they'll be playing them at Quinnipiac. And if they take players on and they stick to their game plan that Eric DaCosta wants them to do, then I think they'll be all right when they face Yale. I think they can do their job.
Well, since losing Borja and Gotito, after the 2014 season, the Bobcats have struggled to find a consistent replacement for him. With Brian Westerman and Chris Sostamos splitting time to start the season, who do you think approaches for this team should be heading forward?
This is very tough, and I think that Eric DaCosta is in the same kind of boat that we are trying to figure this out as well. You have Brian Westerman, who's coming up, who's a senior now, who has been with this program all 4 years, and he was kind of groomed in a way from Borja and Goida, and kind of got his reps as well when Borja was out injured. You think that Brian would be the senior that steps up. He was a number 2 string goalie last year. You think that he's primed to do it this year. DaCosta kind of left that up in the air. From what I heard, it was Yakovidis gets to start against Boston College, Brian Westerman gets to start against Louisville, and that whoever played better had it for the season. Now, there's been injuries that have kind of forced both players to get different time in different games, especially in Lafayette when Brian Westerman came in with 27 minutes to play and had to keep that clean sheet. So it's really tough right now, and I don't know how the defense is communicating with that too, because you have a new goalie coming in every time giving different orders, especially Yakovidis, who has actually physical trouble competing, actually talking to his back line. So it's tough, and I don't know who to lean on right now, because both have looked sharp and have had their moments. So I'm not really sure.
Well, with most of the fall teams finishing up with out-of-conference play and beginning conference play in the next few weeks, what are some of the big games to watch for this week? Kirby, would you like to start?
Absolutely. I'm going to go with field hockey's first in conference play in the Big East Conference against Georgetown. It's definitely a winnable game for this hungry Bobcats team. I think this team, after going 0-6 in these close contests, is looking for that fire underneath to just keep going and go directly into conference play. I also think it'll be good for Olivia Galini to get her first taste of collegiate conference play as well. I have Quinnipiac winning this game. Again, I'll go back to a stat that I dropped earlier. Last season, they went 3-8 before hitting conference play and then went 5-1. So you never really know, but I think this could be the start of maybe something along the lines to adapting towards the new conference.
I think that's huge, and I think that's a milestone for field hockey as a program as well. My game of the week is Quinnipiac men's soccer versus Yale. Not only because yours truly has the call, and I'm very excited to see it, but it's El Clasico. It's the crosstown rivals of Connecticut right now who are competing, and it's always a juggernaut. There's going to be crowds, there's going to be fans from both sides coming out. Last time they faced off, Yale won 3-2 late in the game, and before that, on QU's own field, Rafael Cavallo actually had a game winner in overtime. Fans erupted, people rushed the field. It's a great atmosphere whenever QU and Yale face off in any sport. But I really love to see this one going into that kind of transition when they're going to go into the MAC play. It's going to be good before they face Niagara, this Quinnipiac men's soccer team, to face a tough team like Yale. And I'm very, very excited to see it.
Well, that's it for our show. Make sure to check out our websites at theqbsn.com and q30television.com. Be sure to follow us at Twitter at Q30Sports and QBSN. For Nick Colon and Kirby Paulson, I'm Reagan Martin. Thank you for joining us tonight.